If you're a solo videographer or a creative trying to figure out if you should start an LLC or be a sole proprietor, this is the video for you. What's going on, guys? My name's Ryan Snaadt, it rhymes with odd, and welcome to this week's video. I make YouTube videos every single week to help you grow your brand with video, help videographers grow their own business, and a ton of stuff like that. So if you're into that, make sure to hit the subscribe button below, and we're gonna get directly into this week's topic, which is sole proprietorship versus LLC. Also, before you leave a comment, thank you for the compliment on the shirt. Love this shirt, and marketing, hell yes. I'll tell you guys a little bit about my story as well as weigh some of the pros and cons for you in terms of some of the benefits and the not so good stuff that comes with starting an LLC. So if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section below. And just a quick disclaimer, guys, I'm not a legal advisor. If you have some serious questions about what you should do legally, you should go consult with a business attorney or a CPA or somebody that is better equipped to handle some of these questions. I'm just going to be sharing some of my personal experience to give you guys some guidance on what other people are doing out there. So let's get into it. 5 or 6 years ago, I started my freelance videography business when I was still in college. I was operating under the name Ryan Snaadt Productions, which was just me making extra money on the side, which is a great place to start if you are just a beginner or somebody that is kind of feeling this out to see if this is something you want to do more of. So I operated as a sole proprietor under Ryan Snaadt, so when people would cut me a check after making a video, they would just make it out to Ryan Snaadt. So when you prep for taxes, you just file that as extra income and you're pretty much set. When I was starting out, I didn't really charge sales tax. I didn't have any kind of formalized documents. I was just kind of out there freelancing, making videos. I'd make a video for somebody and they'd pay me, and that was pretty much the end of it. So I operated like that for about 3 or 4 years, and then some main things changed for me, which made me want to start an LLC. So reason number one, and probably the main reason that I started an LLC, was to separate and divide my finances and my assets to protect them. And if you're kind of looking around like, I don't know what any of that means, basically it means that I wanted to protect my personal property and make sure that if somebody were to sue me for something that I did legally, they couldn't come after my personal assets, so my house, my car, or my fiance or I's property that we own. Worst case scenario, somebody trips on a cord while you're recording something like a light cord and they fall and hit their head and they sue you for damages. The last thing I want is somebody to come after all of my personal property when I was operating as a business. So this adds an extra layer of protection with an LLC, which is a limited liability company. That's what that means. And basically adds a layer of protection from yourself to your business, so it separates things out. So that was the main benefit. The second reason that I started an LLC was to keep my branding and my business more professional. So if you're operating as a sole proprietor just as yourself, you might get this a lot where people kind of look down on you when they're comparing you to somebody else who has a legitimate business. For me, I was missing out on gigs and things that I didn't have because I wasn't professionally branded and I wasn't an official business. And for me, a lot of my clientele are more of those small to medium-sized businesses here in Iowa, and a lot of them didn't take me seriously when I was at that point. So I decided officially I wanted to incorporate my business as a limited liability company. There are a bunch of other legal entities that you could create, like an S Corp or a bunch of other things like that. I'm not gonna go into those in this video because an LLC is the most common for a business in America. So it's the most common that we're seeing with somebody that's a sole proprietor. So now my business is a sole member LLC and basically gives me that layer of protection that I want, but it also allows me to be more branded. So I created my business, Snaadt Media Group, LLC, which is more of a shell company for all the things that I do, both videography-wise as well as my online business. It can all operate through this one organization, and I can keep all of my finances separate. Now, the branding piece you can do as a sole proprietor, which is not a big deal, but for me, I just wanted to have that official business that I could use, so when I'm invoicing people, it's legit, it's not fake, it's not some kind of like guise or anything like that. It's something that people can trust. Now, some of the downsides of having a sole proprietorship definitely is going to be the risk that you take in terms of legal action. So if you're flying your drone around doing real estate videography and you crash your drone into some kid's face when he's riding a skateboard and the parents sue you for physical damages, they could come after you. If you're in college and you're in debt, they can come after you and take all of the money that you don't have. But if you have, a car or a house or an apartment, they could potentially come and try and take that or sue you for damages, which could be tens of thousands of dollars. So you do take on the risk of just being a sole proprietor in that regard. So that's really the big downside of a sole proprietorship, is the risk factor. But also when you get to a certain level of income, if you are still a sole proprietor, it does kind of increase your tax bracket. So you're gonna get taxed heavier if you're kind of at that certain level. So say you're making, a 6-figure income on the side as a freelance videographer as just a sole proprietor, plus you have a full-time gig that pays, $50,000 to $70,000 a year, you're probably gonna be in that higher end tax bracket of wealth where you're gonna be taxed higher. So that is just something that you wanna kind of look at both with your accountant or an attorney and say, okay, what's the best option for me? So to start an LLC, there are a couple steps depending on which state you're in. It does change a little bit, but the first is really incorporating. So if you're in the States, you're gonna wanna go to your Secretary of State website for your state that you live in. And for me to start up my business, I went to a business attorney and got it taken care of for like $500 or so. So I got incorporated, got all of my documents that I needed, got my taxes set up and all that type of stuff. So that's more of the legal side to kind of keep it legit. But then there's the other part of it as well, which is setting up the banking information. So if you're gonna have an LLC, you need to keep all of your finances separate so you're not, getting a check for like $3,000 for a video that you made and then going and buying groceries with that money. You need to be able to take that money and put it in your business account and then send out owner stroke checks to yourself, which will be kind of like a payment to an employee. So this adds kind of some complexity to it, but what you'll need to have is a business banking account that you can get pretty much anywhere. I set up a checking and a savings for myself and it's been really, really handy. So I use a credit union here locally for all the stuff that I use for my business. And then I have all of my personal assets, my savings accounts and all that type of stuff through a different bank. So for me, it just helps it kind of keep everything really separate, keeps everything more legit. And then in terms of tracking everything financially, I just use QuickBooks. If you're wanting to try and start all this process, I really do recommend using QuickBooks. I am the opposite of somebody that is interested in bookkeeping or anything like that. But QuickBooks is a super easy tool that a lot of small businesses use and I trust it and I've been using it for about 3 years. So I'll put a link down in the description box for QuickBooks. I think I have a 50% off discount code that you can use down there. It's been super, super handy and I like it quite a bit. That's for a whole nother video talking about all the benefits of using QuickBooks, but you can use any tools that you want to try and track your income. And then when it comes to tax prep, you need to make sure that you're working with an accountant or a CPA and just use somebody else that knows a lot more about that stuff to kind of help you. The last thing you want to do is try and mess up your taxes and then the IRS is trying to bill you for all this extra money that you were supposed to collect, and it kind of makes it a nightmare. The other thing that happened when I started an LLC was I had to start charging sales tax. So again, this is a question for your accountant. Depending on what state or county you're in, it could be a little bit different, but I have to charge an extra 6 to 7% depending on which county I'm in for all the videos that I produce. You have to pay those taxes out quarterly to the government. So as you can see, starting a limited liability company does have complexity to it, but for me, those two main reasons are why I switched over, and I'm pretty happy that I did that. As well as if you're considering some of the different things, feel free to reach out to me and drop a comment in the comment section below. If I can help you in any way or direct you to any resources, I will also link those up down below in the description box. So hopefully you got some value out of this video. If you did, make sure to give it a huge thumbs up and let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. I talk about sole proprietorships and LLCs more extensively in my 50-minute free webinar training that I have for the 9 biggest mistakes that solo videographers make when they're starting their business. It's kind of a mouthful, but it is a 50-minute free training that you can access down in the description box below. I'll put that down there as well. That's a free resource for you to learn more about how to start, grow, market, and accelerate your growth as a solo videographer. It's pretty insane to me too. I started my channel probably 5 years ago, and just the growth that we've seen on the channel in the last couple weeks has just been crazy. We're getting 300 to 400 subscribers every single month that are new people coming in, learning about this, growing this community, and I can't thank you guys enough for it. So I will continue to make these weird videos that are not about camera gear or camera settings, but more about the actual stuff that you need to learn to grow your business and make more money doing what you love, which is creating videos. So if you're with me, make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell to get notified every week when I post a new video. My name is Ryan Snaadt. It rhymes with odd, and I'll see you next week. Peace!